I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like,
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the week. This one, little surprising as we were recording the day of. Pete DeBoer was fired after 3 consecutive Western Conference Finals run. But to me, Austin, I know you were into the Stars more when Pavelski was on it. You're still into the Stars, but you do have the Bruins. They have to hit on this hire. I don't hate the move, especially because I do believe DeBoer started losing the locker room. And there were player exit interviews. Tom Glagardi, the Stars owner, did say, I don't know why I would fire DeBoer right now. The coaching market is really tough right now. And then a week later, fires DeBoer. Well, Jim Nill fires DeBoer, but of course you got the owner's blessing, I would say. So this is also the first time the Stars have fired a coach prematurely. Maybe Jim Montgomery, but Jim Montgomery wasn't because of hockey reasons. Rick Bowness, they let the contract end, and they just decided not to bring him back. Mutual parting of ways. This one, he had a year left on his contract. So to me, I see them making this firing because they thought it would be more detrimental to their chances next year because of what DeBoer did with pulling Ottinger and just the way he handled it. He didn't even talk to Ottinger after, and then he made those comments in the press, in the media after the game, where he basically threw Ottinger under the bus.
Yeah, which I don't think is fair. I don't blame Ottinger for what occurred, but I think it was more of a team issue. But since 2019, he's made a Western Conference final or missed the playoffs every year since 2019. Or since 18-19. So Sharks makes the Western Conference final and then missed the playoffs. And then with Vegas, made the conference final, missed the playoffs. And the Stars make the conference final, make the conference final. So that is 6 conference finals of 8 years. So 6 of 8. And he's been fired now 3 times. And he's made 6 of 8 Western Conference finals. He's also previously made the Stanley Cup final with both the New Jersey Devils as the head coach and the Sharks as a head coach. Did not win either of them. Lost in 6 in both, I believe. But so he's been to the Stanley Cup final twice, 1 in each conference. He's been to 6 of 8 Western Conference finals. How do you look at the Stars? We'll start with the Stars first. How do you feel about them moving forward? Because I think DeBoer's going to get another chance. I don't think this is his last job as a head coach. He's been too successful as a head coach for this to be his last chance. But how do you feel about the Stars? Because I do agree that the coaching market is kind of weak, or at least suspect at best. So I do wonder how necessarily Stars fans or the Stars organization feel about this upcoming season after a disappointing run, even though, because you got to get past the Western Conference final at some point.
Yeah, to me, this places pressure on the Stars, which kind of makes me hope. I like the direction. It's like, hey, this isn't good enough. And kind of looking at all of the teams I've rooted for kind of excites me. And I'm just like, okay, you're setting yourself a high standard. Because I would have been okay with DeBoer. And I'm like, he's a great head coach. You've gone to the Western Conference final as long as he's been coaching you. And that just isn't enough for Jim Nill. It's, we want to win the Stanley Cup final or win the Stanley Cup. So with that pressure comes expectations. So I didn't expect them to make the Western Conference Finals. I've said that before multiple times, but I just want to say it again because I thought they were kind of going to take a reset year. But now it places pressure on their moves, but it does place them in a difficult spot Because I've heard people talking about hiring someone from the Texas Stars, their head coach who has been successful, but he doesn't have NHL experience. So that to me is a huge amount of pressure to place on someone that hasn't coached in the NHL. And I was thinking about it. Rick Tocchet, I believe, is still available because I don't think he reached an agreement with Vancouver.
Is he still available?
I believe I'm looking at it right now. Or no, the Flyers hired Rick Tocchet.
Yeah, because I didn't think he was on the market still.
Okay, then yeah, I didn't realize. Because Pete DeBoer, I think, would be hired, which we can transition. There are no more spots available right now for head coaching. So I believe DeBoer could just be a mid-season hire.
Yeah, just kind of how we saw with a couple of guys like Jim Montgomery. I know he was fired mid-season, but then he was hired mid-season. Like, he wasn't an interim, right, with the Blues. He was just hired, and I think that was a terrible fire. So whether Bruins, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I completely agree that I don't think he's going to be out of a job for that long. I think he'll easily find an opportunity to be included on a team extremely soon. Now, if it's not at the beginning of the season, I agree with you that it'll be early on in the year. I think that he'd be willing to take any job that comes available because I think people see him as like one type of coach right now. So I think if he brought a team up instead of them already being there, because with the Vegas and the Stars had already been to a Western Conference Final before in a cup. Vegas had already been to a Western Conference Final before and a cup before he got there. So this was kind of return him to that Devils or Sharks where he kind of built them up to that point and proved that he can do more than just lead a good team. He can build a great team.
Yeah, and I think he's a good coach, but I do question, can he be that guy to get you to win the Stanley Cup? And it would have been amazing.
He's been to 8 conference finals, 7 in the West, 1 in the East. He's been to 2 Stanley Cup finals. It's hard for me to imagine that a guy with that much success cannot eventually win it.
I know, but I think with the Stars, I think it was more from the personnel side, just kind of how it was handled.
Because of what happened to Ottinger, I understand the firing.
Yeah, so
but
I do
at
think
the same time, I still think that they're in a bad spot.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. And I'm curious, what does a coach do? Because I do think the roster is very good. It can be better. I also am curious, what do the Stars? I'm sure you've seen the rumors of Robertson being traded. I know people are against that, but I wouldn't be totally against it, depending on what you get back. I think if they get a nice defenseman and maybe you unload some contracts with Dumba and other guys, I think it could work out for you. Because Robertson hasn't been a great playoff performer.
I would give Robertson another year, but I agree with you that if you got the right package back, I don't think it's a crazy decision.
Especially with Mikko Rantanen being
true, and that's why you signed him to, what was it, 7 years? 7 years?
8 years, like 12-ish million. So, and Robertson only has 1 year left. So we'll have to see. I'm curious what a new coaching staff does, or a new head coach. It looks like the Stars are going to keep their assistants with them. So, yeah, I think they were reaching their limit with DeBoer, and just kind of maybe this wasn't the right place for him to finally get it. But I know he hasn't won a Stanley Cup, and I thought it would have been great if he did reach it and win it with the Stars, especially last year with Pavelski and that whole journey. So To me, he definitely raised the level. But now the Stars are placing on themselves, no, we want to go even better.
Yeah, you're right, though. I think the biggest thing that you said is that the pressure is now on the Stars to actually find someone that they are going to be able to win a cup with. Because I think if they regressed and missed the playoffs or something a little bit wild, then there would be some serious question marks on Jim Nill obviously he's won so many GM of the years and made so many great decisions, but they at least would question pretty harshly this firing if they ended up missing the playoffs next year or had a great regression.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm trying to figure out who can be the next. Yeah, so yeah, I just wasn't paying attention with all the coaches. Because I know a lot. I think I wouldn't be opposed to. You could go Mike Sullivan, who I don't think. Oh, never mind. He was hired by the Rangers. All right, that's my bad. So it looks like they may go new head coach, but that I don't think is a terrible thing, especially because the last guy they did was Jim Montgomery, and he's turned out to be a great head coach.
That's true.
But it is a guy that's going to have to perform in year one of this job. So a lot of expectations. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.